Dirtbags. My name is Luke Egebrotten. I am your host of today's episode of the Dirtbags podcast. I am so excited to be here today. We've got a huge guest. He's been a day one Dirtbag listener. Before we bring him in, and most of you guys have probably hung out with him. You saw him at Con Expo, or you've just follow him on Instagram. But before we get into there, we have some great news. As you guys know, last year, and heading into this year, we were kind of restructuring some of our ad sponsorship spots, and we've got a new sponsor. And so I'm so excited. You guys probably know who he is. He's in all the Facebook groups. A lot of the dirtbags that listen to the show or I know use him as well. His name's Charlie Huff. He is the insurance man when it comes to construction insurance. So it's not the sexiest topic, but here we go. If you run an excavation, grading, or any kind of dirt moving business, you know the right insurance can make or break you. And that's where Charlie Huff at Stratford Insurance Group comes in. Charlie isn't just some random insurance guy. He's one of us. Grew up in a shop, worked in the trades, and now he's dedicated his career to protecting the dirt world companies like yours. His team is full service, fast, and relentless when it comes to getting you the best coverage at the best price. They flip over every rock, negotiate hard with carriers, and make sure you're not just covered, but covered right. And the best part, he makes it easy. Need a COI? Done. Adding or removing equipment? Handled. Got an audit coming up? No sweat. They take the insurance headaches off your plate so you can get back to running your business. So if you want an agent who actually gets it, who's in the industry, hit up Charlie Huff, and he's now back on Instagram. But also you can call 385-268-9939, or you can go to his website, www.sigutah.com, and we'll link all of his info in the description of the show notes. But huge thanks to Charlie for believing in the Dirtbags, what we're doing, where we're going. People like Alex Parker with Parker Rock and Dirt. He's a client of ours, a Dirtbag listener. He's been a Dirtbag guest. People like Alex are using Charlie and just, can't say enough great things. And so over the last 6 months, Charlie and I have been working together on putting this together and for you guys, but also for the Dirtbags show. So huge thank you to Charlie. Want to make sure I give him a massive shout out there. He's going to be a big part of our episodes and where we go as a company. So go check him out. Like I said, 385-268-9939, or check out his website, sigutah.com. Let him know you found him on the Dirtbags podcast. So with that, and I've got a huge guest coming in. Like I said, he's a day one Dirtbag, my guy from Red Run Property Services in Kellner, Wisconsin, where the Corn Fest happens. My guy, Dylan Rosenthal. How are we doing, man?
Doing great, Luke. Cheers.
Cheers, man. You got we got, here we go. So we got a Blue Moon non-alcoholic, and I'm a huge fan of Blue Moons, and I didn't know they had an NA, so I think it's pretty new. But yeah, so I got 2 of those, got a couple waters, and then I got some of this, this is my shout out, but this Nature Hydration. It's like a liquid IV powder, but toss some of that in water. And I'm gonna be doing good as long as this doesn't go for 2.5 hours and I gotta use the bathroom. So Dylan, looks like you got the bug assault right behind you, ready to rip. How's that thing been?
We sure do. That thing's been fire lately around here. This last summer we had a lot of flies, and we didn't have a fly swatter around here, so Haley was kind of yelling at me for not getting a fly swatter. So I bought her a bug assault. And took care of a lot of flies now, so that's pretty sweet.
And you're up in Wisconsin, and I know when we used to deer hunt up in northern Minnesota, I don't know if it happens up in your shop, but we'd go in the deer stand and there'd be like hundreds of flies that were dead. And all of a sudden, as like the stand started to warm up, we had one that was enclosed. They would start twitching, and all of a sudden, like a couple hours later, they'd start flying around. So they were just frozen. But I don't know if you get that in your shop or not. But yeah, you got to make sure you finish the job.
We don't see it in your shop too much, but Haley's dad's got a cabin in Iowa that we go to, and when that's cold, like we'll go there, and there'll just be thousands of them in there. And as it warms up, they'll just come to life, and you'll be sucking them up with the vacuum cleaner. And you'd run out of salt. You'd need to bring like a whole case of salt with you with the bug of salt. But
Yeah, exactly. So, as I mentioned, guys, we got Dylan Rosenthal here. You can find him on Instagram at Dylan Rosenthal 8 is his personal IG, or his company at Red Run Property Services. Dylan, you and I have been connected for a long time, and we were actually talking about this. So you started listening to the Dirtbags. It was like right when we launched our first episode with Aaron Witt, and I don't know how anyone found us then, but I think just between Luke and I sharing on our socials, but you started listening right away and have been very involved since. So, yeah, I guess if you want to touch on that, like how you got involved with the Dirtbags, listening, but then I want to pivot from there and hear more about your company and kind of some of the your trajectory since then.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, we I stumbled across you guys somehow, whether it was on Spotify, listen a lot on Spotify, or like you said on Instagram or something. I scroll a lot on Instagram looking at different excavating contractors. So somewhere on there, and we just got listening to you there, and I just found it super helpful to finally be able to talk or listen to somebody in the same field, kind of with the same mindset, like an entrepreneur mindset in the dirt world. Because obviously, coming out of Kellner, Wisconsin, we don't have a ton of people around us, and especially people, similar in age to me, to talk to about it. Kind of face the struggle, find out that what struggles they face, and it was super helpful to like motivate me to keep going and actually push forward and do, make the jump from working a 9 to 5 and get into my own business. So
What were you doing 9 to 5, and what year was that when you made the jump?
I graduated high school in 2016. I had worked previously throughout the summer for a excavating contractor. They were a little bit away. They were a little ways away. One summer I was able to stay right next to home. They had a big highway project going there, so I labored for them. Thought it was awesome. I loved it. Second summer I came back to them and I got sent about an hour and a half away. So I was on the road every day. Every week I'd leave home Monday, at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'd get back Friday at 5, 6 o'clock. And I loved what I did, but I didn't love being out of town.
Mm.
So I graduated in 2016, and my parents kind of told me that I had to go to college, whether I liked it or not. So I chose to go to a welding school, which was about 2 hours away, and it was straight welding, 6 months on. They treated it just like a day job, 7 to 3:30 every day. So I went, pounded that out, and I came back, and I'm like, I don't want to weld. I just want to go into like the dirt world. Like my whole
Mm.
family has been in the dirt world. My grandpa was an operating engineer. Three of my uncles are operating engineers. Another one of my uncles owns his own excavating business. So I'm like, I want to go excavating, but I didn't want to, travel. I wanted to be local, here to
Yeah.
Kellner, Wisconsin Rapids. Um, couldn't couldn't find anybody that wanted to hire me. My uncle, like I said, he had his own excavating business. He didn't want. He was kind of just content doing his own thing. Didn't really want to deal with having anybody else along. And so I found a job as a pipe fitter through a local company. I had some friends that worked there, so I got in there and I actually started my apprenticeship there. And
Hmm.
what about? Well, I had 5 years in, but it was a 5 year apprenticeship, and I had 4 years fully completed from it. And through my last 2 years of working there, I don't know, it's kind of a funny story how it started. I was just scrolling through Facebook and seen a guy that needed some concrete prep. He was a concrete guy, and he was pouring a driveway approach, and he needed a guy with a skid steer that could move some dirt for him. And my
Yeah.
dad had happened to have an older Bobcat 863 sitting out back. So I like my dad because he works for, he's an operating engineer and he usually works out of town. So I called him up one night and I'm like, hey, do you think I could borrow your skid steer tomorrow night? This guy wants some dirt moved. And he's like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. So the next day after I got done working, I loaded the skid steer up and went and moved some dirt for him. And I was like, dude, how can I do this? Like, you got more work for me. Like, I want to do this. I want to keep doing it. So my last 2 years of, working as a pipe fitter, every night after work, I would come home and, I did a few jobs with his, and then finally I bought my own skid steer. So I would come home after that, and that's, exactly what I would do. I'd load that thing up and go find work for it, or I'd be calling people, or even if it was just out back my dad's house, like I would, push dirt
Yeah.
around, do whatever.
What'd you buy?
Um, so I had bought a Bobcat T5, I think it was a T590 then, and it was the biggest pile of crap ever. The guy I had bought it from, he buys them from auctions and dealers
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So he just kind of like a wholesaler, and I bought it and it immediately had issues with it. I ended up sticking like 5 grand into it before I don't even know if I made any money with it. And so I got rid of that. And then I ended up buying a cat, which I actually just sold this last spring. So that cat was a lot nicer, a lot more reliable. Didn't hardly cost me any money to get going. So that was
Yeah.
a pretty key player in, getting my business rolling.
Did you buy it new?
No, I bought it used. I bought it
Used?
used from another landscape company that kind of just traded them off every few years.
Oh, I see. So you went through the dealership, bought it there, but it was used.
I I contacted the dealership, and he actually just gave me the guy's number directly, and I just went and bought it right from them directly.
Yeah, I save a little bit more that way.
Yeah. So getting back to that, I was a pipe fitter for 5 years. 4 years into my apprenticeship, and on my fourth year, I literally had 1 year left, and I would have, had a journeyman's card. I was making good money. I think when I left there, I was making $27 an hour, so it was like
Yep.
good money, had good benefits. I was doing that stuff on the side, and I just loved it. And it came into, the end of one fall, and I'm just had people calling constantly, and it's like, dude, I got a lot of work that I could be doing here, and I think I would rather be doing that than pipe fitting.
Sure.
So kind of went throughout the winter talking to like family and talking to Haley, which is my fiance now. And everybody told me no. They're like, you're dumb. Don't leave your apprenticeship. You have 1 year left. Like, just stick it
Yeah.
out. Like, when you get your journeyman's card, you can do whatever you want then. And I'm like, yeah, like that's probably smart. And then so like then I'd go and talk about it with Haley, and she's like, well, we don't have kids. Like we don't have like at that time we still lived with our parents. She's
Yeah.
like, we don't have any crazy bills, so like why not do it? Like if you think you got the work for it, why not? Like we don't really have anything to lose. So then I'd go talk to like somebody else, and they'd be like, no, you can't do that. Like don't do that. That's just
Right.
dumb. And long story short, coming into the following spring, which would have been the spring of 2022, I packed up and left my apprenticeship.
Wow.
Said like, no, that's not happening. I'm risking it. Like that's where my heart is. My heart is in equipment. Like I've been around equipment since I was pretty much born, and I just kind of knew that that's where I wanted to be. Nobody would hire me in the area to do anything with equipment. Like I didn't care if I was an operator or a laborer or whatever. Just couldn't
Mm-hmm.
find a job in our area. I could have been traveling and working, but
Gotcha. Gotcha. So when you left the apprenticeship and like what was the next couple days like? Like what did you do?
so I left my apprenticeship, and it was kind of in March. So it was a little bit early, for getting back into the dirt and everything.
Yeah.
But I was I did a couple like land clearing jobs that spring right away by myself, and I had a decent amount of stuff lined up. And then that company that I left, they actually called me back because they had a big outage, and they're like, "Hey, would you come back for this week? Like we need help." And I'm like, "Yeah, they were good to me. They didn't,
Yeah.
they, helped me leave kind of more or less." So, and they understood, that I had goals and wanted to chase my dreams. So they were good. So I'm like, yeah, I'll come back and help you. Like I got nothing that I can't, that can't wait here. So I went back there and worked a week. And then after I got done with that, it was basically just straight grinding like Facebook, looking anywhere that I could find to even just level a pile of dirt. And it's kind of funny because Haley and I joked about it when we first got going that like I'll put a mailbox in for somebody if they want me to install a mailbox. Like I don't really care what I do. I just, want to do my
Yeah.
own thing. So
Man, that's what a feeling too I remember the day I went out on my own and it was I feel like you and I probably have a very similar outlook on this because same thing when I walked out from my full-time job, I loved my job. I loved them. They were super good to me, but it was just like I knew I wanted to own my own business and go full time in my own business. And similar to you, I was doing Phaser on the side and you were doing
Yeah.
your company on the side, but it's just like I want to do this full time. I want to do this more. And it's yeah, I feel like just listening to you talk too, I feel like there's a lot of similarities that we had where there's no ill will towards the company we were at or our full-time
Yeah.
job, but at the end of the day, you knew you were going to be doing this. And
Yeah.
sure, could you have waited another year, got your journeymans? Yeah, but you knew you were going to be doing this.
Yeah. And something that Haley and I talked about too was I didn't have the drive. Like I liked what I was doing. I liked the people, made good money and everything. But when I woke up every day at, I had to be to work at 7 o'clock. I woke up at, 6:15 and quick ate and got ready and left by 6:30 so I could make it there by 7. And I didn't have any drive, like no motivation behind going to work or getting up or anything. And I guess I kind of like had more or less of a negative mindset. Like I guess you kind of say a
Mm,
glass half full or half empty kind of guy. And it was just I picked out the negative of everything. And now, that's basically made a big 360. And now I try to like pick out the positive and everything. And even when situations are not so great, like try to just stay positive about it. And because I think, especially in this industry, with the amount of stress that we go through and stuff that we get put on our plate, having a solid, strong mindset is a huge player to it.
yeah, man, I love that. It's you guys are in the toughest industry, I would say. And I get to see it from a different vantage point. And it is one of the most capital intensive industries. It is one of the most difficult industries to keep and acquire employees. And it is just, there are so many challenges before you even open your doors that it is just difficult. But to have that mindset that you have, like, hey, but I'm doing this myself. Like this is my business and I'd love to dive in here too, like from picking it up from the spring of 22. Talk a little bit more about, those first few months and that first year full time. Like what did you go through? What mistakes did you make? How much money did you make? Let's unpack that here.
So my first year, first spring, I went into it and I had enough work. Like I was booked out for probably 3 months. And I worked the first month probably by myself, and it was fine. I liked it. I didn't mind working alone, but it's like I need somebody to help me here because I'm running all over. Like I started one sprinkler job because we install sprinklers, and that was my first sprinkler installation job that I ever did. And I had to have probably left that job 20 times because I forgot,
Oh,
a certain part, or like good thing Menards was only about 15 minutes away because I was constantly making trips to Menards because I forgot something. And I
yeah,
walked into like I didn't know what I was doing. I just told the lady, I'm like, yeah, I can probably figure that out. Like I'll get it done. I've, been around them a little bit. And I
sure.
walked into like a supply house and I'm like, can you give me everything that I need to put a 4-zone sprinkler system in? And he like kind of just laughed at me. He's like, well, like that's pretty vague. And I'm like, yeah, that's about all I know too. So and we still deal with them now. They're one of our pretty
Yeah,
good suppliers, and it's just kind of funny. But it was a lot of struggle. Start, like just like that job, it probably barely broke even, but it was a good
sure.
learning experience. I learned, what I needed, what not to do, what to do, and everything. But it was that job there. I realized it's like I need somebody else to help me. Like,
Yeah,
somebody maybe with some experience or just another person to look at stuff from a different perspective. So I don't, need one part and run to Menards quick and get it and come back to find out I need two more.
right.
So that's when I kind of started. I would say 2 to 3 months in, I started looking for another guy. And
Mm,
it took me probably into July to August of the year of 22 to find somebody. And I was actually lucky enough to get a guy. His name's Tanner. He's actually still with us.
shout out Tanner, one of the
He's a
OGs.
he's a key player in everything that we do now too. So he was the first one to come aboard with me, and it was kind of scary for him too. I took some convincing to get him aboard because he's like, "Well, you're brand new. Like, what? Do you
Yeah,
actually have to work?" Or like, So luckily he was kind of in a stressful position and wanted out. And I mean, I would say it's worked out really good so far. So
Yeah. So when you hire your first guy, but you've only been doing this full time for 3 months, like how did you pay him hourly or a salary, or how did you kind of negotiate that?
so I paid him hourly. Um, Basically he kind of told me what he was making where he was before, and he's like, I can't take any less than that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll match that. I'll figure out a way
Figure it
to
out.
you know make that work, because I think we got a lot of work and I need help, and I'll figure it out one way or the other. But yeah, I went into that. I didn't know what came with hiring an employee, payroll, taxes, paying in unemployment, Medicare, and all that stuff. I had
Yeah.
no clue any about that. So luckily I had a pretty good accountant that
Good.
got me rolling with my LLC and everything. So I would say that was a huge part too, because if I had any questions, she would help me out with it. And she made
Yeah.
the hiring process pretty simple. Like, I basically would send his hours in, she had my bank account information, and his paycheck would come out at the end of the week, and as long as I had money in there, it was all good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to park on that for a second here because I was maybe not nervous, but I didn't know what I didn't know when it came to hiring full time. And so yeah, I guess I would say I was nervous when we hired Josie full time. Uh, but after the first one, and after you kind of get some of those things set up, it's super easy. And
Sure is.
like when you bring on the next, and you're like, yeah, it's you just kind of it's very easy, but you also, of course, need to be mindful of your budgets and everything. And you want to stretch your company before bringing in too many people. And
Yeah.
but that first one is so hard because you don't have anything, workman's comp, insurance. Yeah, you're paying Medicare, Medicaid. You figure out like what payroll taxes are and how much they are, and I just and same with you too. It's like we just figure it all out. We're like, oh damn, I didn't even know what that was until but it's such a great learning process to go through. But my point on that is you need somebody on the legal side. And for you, it's your accountant. For me, it was our accountant as well. And I'm just like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, can you help me with this process? And to them, it was super easy. Like to me, it felt like a lot of big, scary questions. And to them, it's like, oh yeah, we just submit this once a year, and we do this every 2 weeks or every week. And yeah, here's how it works. And then my second recommendation on that is don't overthink or don't overthink it when it comes to there are softwares built for this kind of stuff. And my example to that is, if somebody wants to, okay, I need to send an invoice. I'm going to send a paper invoice. Okay, I need to receive the money. I'm going to build my own spreadsheet. It's like, no, just use QuickBooks. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is for.
Yeah.
Same thing with payroll and accounting. We use a software called Gusto, and it is all in there. It's super simple. It's my HR, it's my payroll. QuickBooks is my accounting, and it is also simple. Like payroll, in my mind, was so confusing. There's a million things you'd have to do. In this software, it's just like you hit a button and you see exactly what it automatically generates their pay stubs. It pays them. And the only thing I have to worry about is that there's money in the bank account. And like you said there, you just got to make sure that there's money in the account and that you're bringing the work in.
Yeah. And that was, as long as I had the time, or, that helped me, having him help me be able to leave jobs to go meet potential clients and stuff like that, look at more work, to get more work, to make sure there was money in the bank account. So that, I mean, that
Mm,
was huge. I mean, I think it would be pretty tough for me at the time, at least, it would have been pretty tough to grow very much by myself, not being able to look at
yeah.
work and do the work. So,
Yeah. I mean, because you're doing everything. And there's a part of that you need to know how to do everything. But
yeah.
I guess I'm probably more on your side as well, like hiring that right hand sooner rather than later, and then trying to figure out the money side of things. But you got to take that leap at some point. You're going to hire somebody
Yeah.
typically. And yeah, and I think doing that earlier when you have the work, especially at your point in that season, I think that made a lot of sense there.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it was super scary. I had
Yeah.
no clue what I was getting myself into, but and I'm super thankful that it was Tanner and everything worked out, because we've had some employees since then that
Yeah.
haven't worked out, that if they would have been the first ones, maybe would have changed my mind. So,
Yeah.
having a good person come aboard right away definitely helped me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So that gets us, to the fall of 22. Are you guys pushing snow 22 winter?
Yep. So we worked, like, luckily we pieced enough work together. We came right into Christmas working that year, and then started trying to get commercial lots and as many any driveway that we could. We tried to get as much plowing as I could. And I had done some plowing before that, just kind of in the winter on the side too as well. So I had a few leads on stuff.
Hmm.
Got a few smaller commercial projects to clear snow on and salt and everything like that. Nothing huge, but it was enough to keep us busy for a few hours. So it got tanner work through the winter, and then we did a little bit of shop work. And then that fall of 22, we actually got a pretty good clearing job for a pond that we were going to dig in the next spring. So
Hmm.
that helped us, a lot that winter. I was able to keep him busy. We did some logging there, cleared out a bunch of trees and stacked a bunch of brush together so the customer could burn it. So that helped a lot.
So did he worked all through the winter then?
I wouldn't, he definitely got laid off. I wouldn't say he
Oh,
worked,
okay. Yeah.
all winter, but it was a few weeks on, a few weeks off type stuff
Mhm.
like that to where we pieced enough work together to keep him happy, and everything worked good and he came back the next year. So,
Yeah, that's how you know it, still working out well. Sweet. So then take me into 2023. What does the business look? Oh, and if you remember your revenue numbers for 22, and then as we go into 23, let's get a look at that.
yeah. So the first year going full time would have been 22. We did a little over 300,000 in revenue that year,
Nice.
basically just Tanner and myself. I don't think that summer we even had anybody else come on. It was just him and I all summer and fall into the winter and everything. So we did a little over 300,000 in revenue. I would say there wasn't a ton of profit in that. Just kind of, there was a lot of
Yeah,
learning and stuff like that. But we still had a pretty solid year to start with.
absolutely. Okay, and then heading into 23, because you started working on that pond project then right away
Yep.
in the spring when everything thawed out.
Yeah. So we I kind of forget how that exactly went, but we had that pond project wasn't something, it wasn't super critical. We're actually
Hmm.
still working on it. We dig fill out as we need it for houses and stuff like that. It'll be about an acre pond when we're done, and we should be finishing it up this next year here.
Nice.
So that was kind of just fill in work whenever we needed. So that was nice. And just kind of, we had some projects from the last fall that winter came and we weren't able to get finished up. So we had some stuff to finish up from 22. And, I was nervous going into 23. It's like, well, this is my first, spring with an employee. I don't know how this
Right.
goes. Like, I don't know how long it takes to get work. And so I actually, that spring, and I know a lot of people told me not to, but I went and got hooked up with Angie Leads, I think it was.
Yep.
So I was paying per job. It was like $40 per lead or whatever. And I know a lot of people talk bad about it. And don't get me wrong, I probably wasted a decent amount of money on it, but I also got some pretty dang good jobs that led into, more work.
Yeah.
We booked probably, I'm going to say 2 months worth of work through that spring.
Nice.
And I put Facebook ads out too, and a lot of word of mouth and everything like that. People finding out that we're doing work now, and
Hmm.
now we actually did some stuff. So we had pictures to prove that we can actually do this, and the
Right.
quality of work and everything. So that kind of flowed well. And it's, I don't know, a lot of people said don't do Angie Leads, but it did help us a decent amount right away. Now we don't do anything with them, but it did,
Hmm.
I would say it got us started and going, and definitely helped out a lot that spring of 23.
Yeah, and I'll double down on that because that's coming from a marketing perspective, I know a lot about Angie's Leads and these other platforms, and there's pros and cons to it. And I will say that the pros to it, and because everyone is so quick to bash it, and of course myself too, but what I will say is no matter what, if you get a lead from Angie's Leads that's decent, and let's say you pay $40 or $80 or $120, no matter what, like if you just do your calculation and you see that it turned into a $10,000 job, do the math. And if you made $2,000 profit or whatever it might be, you subtract your customer acquisition cost. And like that is, but then the way I look at it is from your perspective of you're going to hopefully take care of that client, get a Google review from that client, and then retain that client as a future customer. And so do I think Angie's Leads long term is a good fit? No. Do I think getting started when nobody knows who you are and you need to keep the machines running? Absolutely. But the difference with Angie's Leads is that, you know, they get the leads and then they sell them to people. So that's where it gets difficult is like the it's not like they found you, they found Angie's Leads. So
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, like you can make money on Angie's Leads. You can get work from that. And so I wouldn't be so quick to say that nobody should ever do it because yeah, you can absolutely get going on it. And it's similar with Yelp too, but then I think sometimes like their strategies like when you stop paying them start to get a little greasy. And so it
Yeah.
but yeah, anytime somebody just says, yeah, I use Angie's Leads. I know I need to stop. I'm like, well, hold on here. Let's go through the numbers. And they'll tell me, yeah, I spent $2,000 and we got $400,000 worth of work. I'm like, what's so bad about that? You
Yeah.
know? And so just making sure you stop and you walk through it. But like you said, too, it wasn't your long-term plan, but it got you started and it got you going.
And at that time, I was focused on getting work for that month or the next month and just booking out. I wasn't super focused on where I was going to go in the next year or two. And
Right.
another thing I would do is I knew that there was some stuff that I, wouldn't probably be interested in doing, but I would still go meet with that customer and hand them a business card and be like,
Absolutely.
hey, I don't, yeah, sorry, it was listed wrong. Like, I don't think I'm actually going to be able to do this, but, hey, I'll do all this stuff if you need any of this. So, handing out business cards and stuff like that, getting your name out there, I thought was just pretty
Yeah.
big. And our first job we landed off of it came from just putting a simple lawn in. So a $3,000-4,000 job to us putting the lawn in, a patio, a fire pit patio, and a whole
Wow.
sprinkler system. So that first lead that I spent probably $40 to $60 on got us probably $15,000 worth of work.
Heck yeah, man. And like
And
you said
I mean,
too, at the very least, you're just getting out there and getting, you know, shaking hands and getting
yeah,
business cards in people's hands. And, you know, it's no wonder you're gonna see success as we continue through these years here. And it's things like that that really help separate business owners.
yeah. And also in the spring of 23, I was driving around to about any builder that I could find or any other construction company that I could find that I would think could, I could help them at all, handing out cards, talking to people. And I got very few from that, but,
Yeah.
I did get a couple, and there's a couple pretty good home builders that we still work with now because of that. So that's another key, way to get leads, I think, is just getting out there, introducing yourself to people, and maybe they'll never come up, but I think then people are always going to remember that, whether they use you or not, they will remember you coming to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And at that point too, you're just like, hey, let me know if there's stuff you don't like doing that I can help out with. Or,
Yeah.
you know, typically companies of that size, like they struggle with finding employees or finding extra help. And so you can almost act, you know, obviously you're more of a sub, but you can act as like that extra help that they need for the jobs they don't want to be doing and they can pawn it off on you. But for you, that's great. That keeps
Yeah.
your team busy, that keeps your machines running. And it really starts building these relationships that you said that you still work, some of them you still work with today.
Yeah. I talked to one builder that they had an excavator and everything, so they weren't really interested in us, but he called me back like 2 months later
Yeah.
and he's like, hey, I'm looking for somebody to put 2-inch pink styrofoam down before these concrete guys come in, and the concrete guys are coming in next week and I can't find anybody. Do you know anybody that could help me? I'm like, it's 2-inch insulation. Like, we can do
Sure.
that. So like, that's not a problem. Like, yeah, we'll go do it. And so I actually went and sent Tanner to do that, and he did that. And unfortunately, it never ended up to us getting any more work with that company.
Mhm.
But we helped them out, got our name out there. It is what it is. Got us some work. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, I love it. So, so 23, we're starting to roll. We're first full-time full year. What did we do in 2023?
So 2023, we kind of came into 2023 wanting to do more of
Mhm.
complete start to finish with contractor stuff like that. So we started doing more land clearing in front of digging basements, stuff like that. Um, our goal going into 23 was basically to be a outside contractor that is there for the homeowner start to finish.
Yep.
So we come in, clear the trees, dig the basement, backfill, put your driveway in, put topsoil in, do all your landscaping, put your sprinkler system in, seed your lawn, do any hardscaping you want. So that was kind of our goal going into 2023, was to just be able to sell one job that was worth $40,000 and
Right.
be there, so the homeowners only had to deal with one company. Because that's kind of something we ran into in 2022. We were always waiting on this guy to come in and do this or cut this tree down, or oh,
In
this
between.
guy's,
Yeah.
yeah, this guy, we booked him for our sprinkler system, but he's 3 weeks out yet, and say, well, we're ready to get in there now. So that was kind of our goal going into 2023, and it went good. I was able to bring on a part-time help, so he was still in school. He came on with us for the summer, and then ended up actually going into like a work release program. So he was
Mm.
able to come out after school. Like I think he would go to school till like 10 o'clock then, and then he would come and work
10
with us.
a.m.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. So
awesome.
he'd go for like 2 or 3 hours in the morning, and then he would come to work. So I mean, he was jacked about it. It worked out good for us, and he was a really good help in 2023. Yeah, so I guess we just continued to do basically whatever. I mean, we'd put a driveway in, fix your driveway, all the way to prep your whole lot for a house. Nothing, there wasn't anything too small we couldn't do, or there wasn't really anything too big at that time we couldn't do. We did a few smaller commercial projects, nothing huge
Yep.
in 2023, but that, you know, we were already into basically all the residential stuff, so that kind of
Right.
struck my interest to grow into the commercial side as well.
Where did those come from, or how did those get introduced to you?
They were basically just some smaller gravel parking lots that businesses needed fixed up, or they wanted to,
Mhm.
one of them wanted to add on to their parking lot by like a half an acre, I think. So we were able to come in and rip the stumps out and gravel that. There was one guy that just bought a new shed and wanted a huge area gravelled, just for storage and parking stuff on. So we came in and did that. So it was just some smaller scale commercial stuff like that, but
Yeah.
it just led me into wanting more, I guess, and doing bigger jobs. It's like, well, we can do this. Well, now why can't we do that? Like, I want to bid on that. So,
Yeah, absolutely. No, it kind of gets your foot in the door too. And like you said, that's how it goes is, small residential, bigger residential, start doing some smaller commercial, and you realize a lot of it is very similar. It's definitely not the same, but, and then you start to get in, like you said, you start to want more, and you're like, okay, well, I know we can do this project, and it's a lot bigger than we've ever done, but I mean, that's business. You're kind of always going to be growing.
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, 2023 was a really good year for us with basically three people. We met a ton of new people, a lot of new builders, helped out some builders just with small projects, and kind of got our foot in the door into some stuff like that, which was super, I mean, super helpful because we still work with them today. They still give us work. So that was really,
Yeah.
2023 was a pretty big year for building relationships. And that was when ConExpo was and everything. So
Oh yeah.
that
Oh,
was,
dude. So that's crazy. So 2023, yeah, we had Con Expo. You had already been listening to the podcast, and we got to hang out with you and Haley down at the show because we had the Diamond Mowers
yeah,
live podcast in their booth, and then yeah, we had a bunch of other stuff. And gosh, I can't believe that was. It's crazy walking through your business here and then forgetting that that was like
yeah.
way back in March of 23.
Yeah. I kind of forget, look at these years here and everything, kind of everything goes by so fast. I forget what we even did back then sometimes, but
Yeah, and we were talking about it too before we started recording of ConExpo 2026, and how we really want to make a big push for getting people together, especially people that listen to the Dirtbags podcast. And we did that in 23, but especially now with some time, leading into this in 2026. You and I are talking about like getting a huge group together, maybe doing a pregame before like one of the big parties like Caterpillar, John Deere, any of those. But yeah, just like bringing people together. Like you said earlier, it's kind of that people are in the same boat as you, and people that listen to the show, people that are on the show, people that are in the industry. And yeah, it'd be great to bring everyone together in one place in
Yeah,
beautiful Las Vegas.
for sure. And that's something that, kind of helped me change my mindset too, is listening to you guys. Listening to you and Luke Payne talk was huge for me, because it's like, wow, I feel like that's exactly how I was, like listening to all that. And that just helped me basically 360 change my mindset and get back on top of stuff and get the motivation. So it's good to see other people succeeding. And even though you do kind of feel like you're a little bit behind throughout the whole process, it's all just part of the stepping stones. Everybody was there once, and it's just stuff like that. And collaborating with people with like minds, I think, is just a huge motivation to get going and, get up every morning, enjoy what you do, and get to work, and, just make it a great day.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah, we'll make sure to get more information out on the podcast as we get closer. But if any of you are coming to Con Expo in Vegas 2026, get ready for the Dirtbags Pizza Party Mastermind. It's gonna be electric.
It's going to be fire. We'll definitely be there.
Sweet. Yeah, and we'll do some gambling after, and it'll be a good time. Um, so let's go back to 2023. What did you finish the year at in top line revenue? So you did 300K in 22. 2023, you had the three people. What did you guys finish at?
So 2023, we a little bit over doubled, and we came
Okay,
in ending the year at about 650,000.
nice.
So
Okay,
we
and
did.
then did you out of that 650? Did you start to see more of the business of? Were you paying yourself at that time, or how did that work?
So until this year here, starting in 2025, I can't say that I've never took a dollar, but I've never been
Sure.
on payroll since or
Wow.
until now. I've obviously, like, if I want to go on a hunting trip or do personal stuff, yes, I would, take money out of the business checking account and I would go do that. But I've never really took a salary from it. Basically the last 5 years, I've kind of just devoted everything to the business. Luckily, Haley is, absolutely great with it and supports every step of it, and has never once had an issue with me buying anything. And she deals with my marketplace, struggles and addiction like that. But
It's an
um,
addiction.
yeah, for sure. So
Man.
it's, yeah, whether right or wrong, I mean, I guess it's worked for us so far. So yeah, I'd never had taken a salary out of that. I would just kind of focus it all onto buying new equipment, upgrading equipment, figuring out what I
Mhm.
need to either A, be more efficient, or B, do more work, simply because that's kind of the goal, I guess.
Wow, I love that. And yeah, obviously huge shout out to Haley, your fiance. And yeah, that's a lot of support and a lot of trust in you to do that. And I say that because Olivia, my wife, same way too. We weren't making anything and I wasn't paying
Yeah.
myself for a long time as well. And congratulations, 2025 on payroll. Like that is very, very exciting. I still have uh, a picture of my first paycheck ever paid myself, and it was 2021. It was $500, and I just remember how stoked I was. In the memo part, I said first paycheck, LFG, and I was just like so stoked. I something that you created is now paying your paycheck. Something that I created was now paying my paycheck, and what a cool spot to be in, and just a different chapter in your business this year that you're going to start to, continue to grow, but also do it in a way that like, you're an employee of the business. We talked about in the owner's pay episode, which is really cool to get a ton of insight on that. But, it is important as the owner to work towards that. But then there's, years where you're not going to be making anything close to what you want to make. And it's just that delayed gratification that you got to have. But that's super exciting, man.
It's I mean, I guess I struggle to take it all in and let it settle, but I'm super happy with it that I can finally take a pay, but I also look at it badly because it's like, well, I mean, I'm not taking a lot for pay. It's just something to get on payroll. We switched to an S corp this year, so I kind of had to.
For
Um,
sure. Yeah.
but it's like I look at it, it's like, well, if I didn't take that, well, that's I could go buy a roller, or, that I could put that as a down payment on a new excavator or something. So I mean, which I'm not saying that that's a good way to look at it,
Mhm.
and it's definitely good that I'm, finally taking a pay out of the business, but it's been a struggle for me to see the great side of that too. So
Yeah, no, I love that because your accountant is like, yeah, it's time to switch to an S corp, from an LLC because for tax advantages and that and then you have to be on payroll. You're now an employee of the company, and and it's also very very good practice to treat yourself as an employee because like if you were to replace yourself, how much would that person get paid? What would that person have to do? And of course, like we talked about, it doesn't happen right away. Like you have to do everything. You're going to get paid basically nothing. But as you start making money, as the business starts to grow, it's like, okay, as the owner, as in an S corp, can I pay myself $20,000? No, because the IRS will look at that as okay, the person doing this job, like that is not a reasonable wage. And but it's also just in a business sense just good practice to say, yeah, this is owner's compensation. That's separate than profits. And
yeah,
profits you can distribute maybe quarterly or monthly, but that is already after the owner has been paid for their paycheck and the work they're doing. So it just really helps as you grow and you add more employees that they'll start replacing some of the tasks that you're already doing. But you've already kind of had that budgeted because you're now paying yourself.
yeah, and I think that's big too. It helps budget wise be able
Yeah.
to figure out what you can and can't buy, because now I just put myself on salary, so I know what's going to be coming out for myself this year, so that helps too.
Yeah. Before we head into year 2024, what do you got jingling in your cup there? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Captain and Coke.
Captain Coke. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's
I like a good Busch Light, and I like beer too, but
yeah.
Captain and Coke's where it's at.
We had to get in the zone for this one.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Actually, before we dive into 2024, because this is super helpful for me, this is super helpful, I'm sure, for a lot of people listening. I just love unpacking like your business, and it's so cool to see how far you guys have come, but also where you're going, and just the way you look at your business, the way you look at your people. So, for everyone still listening, go give Dylan a follow at Red Run Property Services on Instagram or at Dylan Rosenthal 8. Um, I gotta hear before we jump into 24. Gotta hear about Cornfest, Kellner, Wisconsin. This is the most Midwest thing. I'm from Minnesota. We've got everything out like this. The polar plunge, potato days, but you've got Cornfest. What is Cornfest? And tell me about that.
This is perfect. So actually, in the spring of 2023, they always used to do a parade in Kellner, Wisconsin, which is a little town real close to us here. And I wanted to be in the parade. Like, I had this business. I'm like, I just want to be in a parade. Like, I think that's the coolest thing. I want to go show off my stuff. Like, have my guys there, like, so everybody can see, who we are and everything. And when COVID came along, they had shut the parade down and nobody was
Mm,
starting it back up. So I like made some phone calls and everybody's like, yeah, no, nobody's doing it. Nobody wants to do it. So I'm like, what does it take to make this parade happen? So I guess long story short, Haley and I took on the role of kind of running the parade for Cornfest, which Cornfest
wow.
is it's just kind of a reason to get together. They have bands and stuff. They have cornhole,
Bush
which is like
Light.
beanbag toss. They have Bush Light. They sell corn on the cob for $1, dipped in butter. Just a good time to get together and all hang out as a little town community. So that's how we got started in the parade. That we ended up having, I think we had like 30 some floats the first year doing it. And we had got
Wow.
some help. We had got some help from the guy that did it previously, kind of sent us in the right direction to get it rolling and everything.
Hmm.
So we did that, had beautiful weather, and the theme of it was basically like the farming theme. So everybody kind
Hmm.
of dressed up as farmers and decorated their stuff up as farmers. So, and then coming into 2024, we ended up, doing it again and got it rolling again. So I think we're probably wrapped into that for a while now. But I don't know, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing all of our, all the other businesses that are local to us come out and show off what
Yeah.
they do and, kind of brag about their people a little bit. So,
Yeah, it sounds like we're gonna have to make a trip up to Cornfest and do some celebrating. Do you for the parade? Do you guys do any voting or does any winners or anything, or how does that work?
yep. So the first year, I think we did three or four, $500 to first, second, and third
Oh,
place.
this is
Um,
serious.
yeah, this year we were actually able to get enough donations that we were able to pay out $1,000. So first place got 500, and then I think second place got 300, and third place got 200. So
Heck
it
yeah! So
was
those
it
are
was
sponsors that
yep,
provide
yeah,
that.
yeah. We just go around, our community looking for sponsorship money, kind of tell them what we do and everything, and we got enough people together that were able to fund it, and it was pretty
Man,
cool. And
that
it,
is
it
awesome.
gives people motivation rather than just, oh, just load up your equipment or, get your like hair salon girls together. It kind of gives them a motivation to dress up and put
Yeah,
different themes on their trailers and everything. So
man,
it's
that is awesome.
it's really cool. And now it's kind of, becoming high stakes. $500 to win is pretty decent money. So,
Yeah. So what'd you get? 29th place or
oh heck no, we got I think we've got third place both years now.
no kid? Oh, so third place. So you won some money each year?
Yeah, yeah. We actually, since we organize it and everything, I don't take any money because
Sure.
uh, we just, I
Looks bad.
donate. Yeah, I donate to it and everything, and it probably looks bad enough that we're, already not winning, but getting second, third place, and
Yeah, it doesn't raise as many red flags when it's third place,
yeah,
and you're just
yeah,
taking the money and oh
yeah.
man, that's awesome.
But yeah, Kellner Corn Fest, it's a great time. Usually, it's the weekend of like August 17th every year, so you guys should
Man,
make the trip up sometime.
yeah, we'll have to let you know. We'll make the trip up, and yeah, anyone else listening that wants to hit Cornfest, Kellner, Wisconsin. The Midwest is the most beautiful place in the world in the summer. It's incredible, especially Wisconsin, Minnesota. Favorite place to be. So yeah, man, we're gonna have to start making that a tradition.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do it too now that more people are on board with it. We're gonna try to make it put together some money to where we donate some money to a
Yep.
cause, not just give it all back to winners or
Yeah, you could do like half of it. Half is $500 to the winner, and then the other 500 is yeah to a cause that you guys want to support. And
yeah,
definitely put Phaser down
yeah,
for one of those. I'd love to help out and I'd love to come visit and check out Cornfest, man.
yeah, for sure. Anybody that wants to come, more than welcome.
Man, I love it. Sweet dude. So I had to take that intermission, had to talk
Yeah.
more Cornfest, but now as we head into the final year, which is last year, 2024, um, how did this last year go? What did your employees look like? What kind of jobs are you taking on? And then, yeah, did you make any money or kind of where are we at there?
So we came 2023. We did obviously better than 2022. I would say our profit margin was a little bit higher. Still probably what I would say is on the lower side of what most people would, want to be at, but we were growing and we're still growing. We're
Yep.
still training people. There's some stuff that we, haven't done a lot of, so we're still learning on it. So I'm very happy with where we're at. Pretty,
Hmm.
proud of my crew and everything to where we're at now. So coming into 2024, I had like pretty high hopes to do some commercial work, and I'm like, I want something commercial. I want to get, down that road. I want to keep the residential side, keep, kind of Tanner kind of manager runs that crew down there doing the residential stuff. And I'm like,
Yep.
I want to try to branch off and get some more commercial work. So right away in the spring, we were able to get on a storage unit project where we were prepping for some storage units, laying pads down for the concrete guys and just graveling around it, digging some ditches, moving dirt out of there. So that was cool to do that. And that would have been the second storage unit project that we had done now.
Nice.
And then we actually in March of last spring landed a pretty good size school project right next to us here,
Mm.
where they were putting in all new playground equipment, and there was new storm sewer going in, a lot of
Wow.
new asphalt, a lot of old asphalt getting tore out, getting prepped for new asphalt and everything like that. So went pretty hard bidding that job, and we actually to get the excavating work, we had to basically bid it as a general. So
Mm-hmm.
there
Mm-hmm.
was concrete work to be done. There was a pavilion build to be done, and like all the asphalt. The school district didn't want anything to do with bidding that separately. So it's like if you're
Interesting.
coming in to bid one thing, you're bidding it all. And I'm like, well, I want the excavating work, so I guess we're bidding it all. Um,
Wow. So you bid the asphalt and then you sub that out?
yeah, yeah. So
Gotcha.
I kind of just reached out to different people that I knew in the industry, and there was a big asphalt company around us that I knew did pretty good work, and they were reputable, did other work
Mm.
for the schools. Called him up, and he was happy to give me a price on it and everything. So
And then how do you need a separate license then if you're doing it as a general?
it's not so we weren't technically the school district was technically the general on it because they were overseeing
Gotcha.
everything. We just took on the role of everything and sub that type of work out. So
Gotcha.
yes,
Gotcha.
if we wouldn't have been working under the school, we would have needed like a general contractor's license.
Hmm.
But because the school was technically their own general and essentially at the end of the day made the call on everything, we
Right.
were just fine doing it the way we did it.
Gotcha. Cool. And then how long were you out on that job?
So that job started in June because school got out
Yeah.
first week in June, and we wrapped it up. We were delayed a little bit with some DNR permits at the beginning. We
Hmm.
were able to get in and start doing some work, but then we wrapped it up more or less ahead of schedule. Finished it right in September, down to getting everything
Wow.
seeded and pulling erosion control and silt fence and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. Kept us busy all summer. Learned an absolute boatload of new
Yeah.
topics and stuff that I didn't even know what I was getting myself into when, I
Hmm.
was bidding it and everything. But luckily I got family that helps, if I got questions, they're always there to answer them and how to bid
Right.
stuff and, what the heck does this number mean? Or, what's the invert of a pipe? Like it's just all kinds of,
Hmm.
little stuff like that I had no idea, what I was doing. So them being there to help me out definitely helped a lot. I had somebody to go to when I had questions. So,
Absolutely. I mean, that's how you learn, right? You do, and you do these types of things, and you
yeah,
don't. And I feel like we learn the most when you're out of your comfort zone, and that's where we almost always operate. It's like we always want to be pushing ourselves. We always want to be stretching, and if you're too comfortable, I think you might be a little too complacent, in my opinion, when it comes to
yeah.
business.
And it's kind of been a topic throughout the whole thing. There was quite a few people that told me not to bid it. They're like, that's way too big for you to get into your first, bigger commercial job. And I'm like, we can do it. Like, I know we
Hmm.
can do it. I'll figure it out. And at the end of the day, I did it again and it worked out. It actually went super well.
Nice.
We had quite a few change orders, some stuff that we ran into pipe elevations that were supposed to be different. So we had to kind of change our storm sewer elevations. And that was one thing that I like recognized right away is we got change orders, and that's kind of like the industry topic. It's like, oh, you can make all your money on change orders, like just hit them hard. I kind of went about that a different way and
Sure.
basically kind of just put my time and material into it and like, hey, I'm going to have 10 hours into this and the material's this price, and maybe I'd add a couple percent on it or whatever just to cover myself, make sure I'm good. But the way I looked at it is I want, I want to keep working in this town community, keep working for the school district and other general contractors in the area. And we're young, and I don't want to get known as the person that, oh yeah, he puts a 50%,
Right.
on top of change orders and stuff like that just to make money. And so that was something that I think, kind of went well, and they were super pleased with that we didn't jack everything up. So
Hmm. Yeah, and you still made your money, right? I mean, it's
yeah,
like
I mean,
you still made your money. You still did a great job. You took care of them, but yeah, I think that relationship and also you understanding that too is very important.
yeah, and it was a big learning experience for us too. So like maybe I didn't
Yeah.
make as much money as some people would have on it, but I made a ton of new knowledge. So that,
Yeah.
that to me is worth a lot.
Yeah, you factor in everything holistically on, what you learned, what you experienced, the relationships you built, the money you made, like all of that. It goes into this one. And of course, earlier on in business, you're going to make a lot less on those. And, your systems, like how often you have to leave the site to go get something, there's all these things that go into how efficient you are. But if it's your 100th time doing that job, it becomes a lot easier. And so
Yeah.
that was your first of that size. And so you got to always have your first.
Yeah, yeah, that was, I mean, by far the biggest commercial job that we had ever done, biggest job period that we had ever
Hmm.
done. And I mean, yes, it went great, but yeah, there was a lot of stressful days and, a lot of questions asked, and it wasn't all easy. I'm not going to tell you it was easy. It was hard. It took a lot out of me, and, it was a lot of stress, stuff like that. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, looking back at it now, it, overall went good, and I'm super happy with how everything went. So.
Yeah, got it done. And so you were done by September, right? Before they went back to school.
Yeah, yeah, we were done in time. They actually had an open house and everything,
Wow.
before school started. So everything, yeah, everything went really well. And we were actually, the asphalt got delayed a little bit, so that kind of
Mm,
made me nervous at the end of the project because it's like everything is done, and then they were waiting on the school district made a change order which affected some of our storm sewer, so we had to
hmm.
order a couple drain inlets that had to go in, and we couldn't do it until, or we had to get them in before the asphalt was done. So
Right.
that made us push the asphalt back, and I'm like, oh my lord, no, not this! Like now I'm gonna
So
be late.
close.
Like, because asphalt guys, I don't know if this is just around us, but they're kind of like concrete guys. They're hit or miss. Like they come
Sure.
at their leisure, and it's like they were literally on our site, ready to start shaping and getting ready for asphalt, and I had to turn them away. It's like we're not ready. They made a change order and can't do it. So I'm like, this is great. Now I'm gonna look bad. Probably gonna miss my deadline and everything, and it all worked out at the end of the day and
Wow.
went pretty well. So
Heck yeah, man. And then, so that wrapped up in September. Then did you just have some other work lined up already, or did you kind of have to pivot, or what happened after that job?
well, so throughout that, I took in 24. We had six full time guys, I think.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So I kind of split it up to where there was three guys working still doing residential. So we still did, all summer. Tanner kind of ran his crew, and I would bounce back and forth to where I needed to be to keep everybody going. So we did three guys on a crew in residential, and then we had 2 to 3 guys on that project. And we could have probably got that project done a little sooner if we put more guys on
Sure.
it. But it was a smaller area to do everything, and I think our average of 3 guys on it went really well. So
Yeah, and you got it done. So yeah, you kept that crew going, a residential crew going through the whole summer, and then with the extra three guys, what did they, or that second crew, what did they do after the school project was done?
I guess they went. We were pretty much after that wrapped up. That was pretty much all we had for commercial work.
Hmm.
Through that, one of my guys, yeah, one of them was summer help, so he actually went back to school in September. So that was kind of
Nice.
nice. So he left, went back to school. One of my other guys actually kind of middle of the way through that project, and he was the summer help that started and was working
Yep.
the school work program. He actually left us and went and to chase his dreams doing rodeo stuff. So he actually moved out to Colorado. So he
Okay.
was, I think that was I think that was beginning of August. So we
Yeah.
lost him. And then we brought one other person on kind of throughout that time after we lost him, and he just I don't know, he worked for us for a little while, and things just weren't working out, and he ended up leaving. It was all on good terms, but it was just
Yeah.
kind of it was a struggle for a little while. Had guys leaving, coming, and trying to train guys, stuff like that. So it was, I mean, 2024 was obviously our best year so far, but it was
Hmm.
at the same time our worst year as
Yeah.
far as, struggles, learning curves, setbacks and stuff like that. We had issues. There was, jobs that we had problems on and ran into some issues. So, and then, kind of losing the guy that had been with us for, I think he was with us 3 years, just, it wasn't really what I was looking for. I mean, it
Hmm.
kind of set me back because he was kind of doing a lot of the work with me on the commercial side of stuff, and he had learned a
Hmm.
lot through it. So, I mean, it was not ideal losing him, but I mean, we were
Right.
able to work through it and make things work.
Yeah. You
So,
just keep getting kicked in the nuts, but you got to keep going. And it's
yeah,
the life of a business owner, man. That's
yeah.
so
So,
yeah. And it sounds like,
so
even some of it too, kind of naturally, once you finish up the job, like you don't have your full team either. And so whether that's planned or not planned, sometimes it finds a way to wrinkle itself out
yeah,
and
it
work out.
did. One of my guys drives, so we got a quad axle dump truck. He drives that. So he was after that school job. I mean, that school job kept him busy there quite a bit, and he'd run material other places. After that finished up, we were able to, he was able to stay busy hauling material to our other projects. So then we kind of just took two crews, double teaming the residential stuff to get some of that stuff pounded out,
Yeah.
and everything worked out good. Kind of rolled right into about the same time Christmas. Christmas kind of seems about the typical for us lately. We can work, right up until Christmas, and then I usually give my guys off through Christmas through New Year's, and then if we got work, we'll come back after New Year's. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they'll usually be laid off then.
Yeah.
I like to. I don't really take a whole lot of time off all summer, and I guess I do quite a bit of hunting. So come November, I like to take a week or two off every year. So
Yeah. It's a good
slowing
time of
down
year for you.
slowing down for me in November's. I like it, and my guys can kind of keep going. So as long as I got stuff lined up for them, they handle it no problem. So I'm able to leave and get away.
Was that pretty easy for you to be able to leave and let your guys just take care of it? Because I know for a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, that's very difficult to like the business stops when they leave.
Yeah, so I kind of started it my first year. When
Mm.
Tanner was there, I gave him the option. I said, "We have this job that we could do if you want to work." I said, "If you want to take off," I'm like, "I'm taking off. I'm leaving. If you want to go do this job," I'm like, I had worked with him all year then, so it's like I know you can handle it, but if you
Sure.
don't want to do it without me, I understand. Like we'll shut down, and we'll pick up when I get back. And he's like, "No, I think I'll work. I'll go get it done." So
Nice.
he actually went out by himself to, I think he might have even done two jobs, got two jobs done, went out, got them done by himself. And yeah, I was there. It wasn't like I was out of the country, couldn't answer the phone. So if he had
Right.
questions, I was there and happy to answer questions. Like he was working, like I was, happy that he wanted to work. So,
Yeah, man, that's a
but
great feeling. It
I mean,
to
it was kind of scary for me,
mhm.
but I was glad that he called and asked questions and kind of, sent me pictures as everything went on, so I kind of made sure everything was getting done right and everything too, which I trusted him. But it's just always nice peace of mind to see it for yourself. So
Yeah, no, it's nice to be able to let go like that, especially earlier on. I mean, sometimes the longer we run our businesses, just ourselves, the harder it is. And so earlier on, if you have the opportunity, for me, it was my wife and I's honeymoon, I think, which was 2023 or 2022, and I was gone for 2 weeks, and I just told the team like, "Yep, I'm gonna be gone, not gonna be working." The business has to go on. So you guys
yeah,
gotta, and just, they have to step up. Right. And that's why we hired them and that's why they're on the team. And, but it's really helped to do things like that, to say like, I'm going to be gone the business has to keep going. And then you find these inefficiencies of like, oh, Luke is the only person on the whole team with this note. And I'm like, okay, well, we got to change that then. So who, we got to make sure you guys can access everything. But if I had any piece of advice for myself or anyone else in business, is to start implementing that in sooner. Start with a day,
Yeah.
or even a half day. Start with a half day, then a day, then a week, and then 2 weeks. And it doesn't mean that you don't have to go on a trip even. You could just let them let your team run it. Let your team run the business and go do something else. And I think it just really helps find these inefficiencies that you can fix, and to where eventually as the owner you can't be there every single minute, and I don't think you should be. And so making sure that kind of fixing those things and finding ways to run a better business.
Yeah. And that's, kind of going to your point, we're leaving for half a day. That's kind of in 2023, that was pretty big for us because I had two guys, all summer. They were able to keep working because I don't have an office person. Like you know, I do everything that's not in
You're
the
the
field.
office
So,
lady.
yeah, so I'm bidding work, going out, looking at jobs, meeting with clients, sending out invoices, taking care of, all the taxes and everything that needs to be paid like that. So I'm doing everything. So there was a lot of days that it's like, hey, I can only help you till noon and then I got to go meet with clients after that. So if you don't like it, well, okay, I'll stay here, but then you're not going to have any work if I can't go out and look at, other jobs and bid
Right.
more work for you guys. And they were, so I did kind of start that early, even just leaving for a few hours, so they were forced to do stuff on their own.
Yeah.
So I think that helped a lot too. I was able to rely on them to make the work happen, get the jobs done while I still keep everything rolling behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so as we kind of round off 2024 here, so I'd say, yeah, probably your best year, but then also probably the year with the most growing pains, the most struggles, which is very typical. Like the
Yeah.
more you grow, the more issues you have. And so I think as people are chasing like top line revenue and just want to get big, like there has to be a bigger reason to it. And also too, you got to know that as you grow, like stuff doesn't always get easier. A lot of
No.
times it's the opposite. But what did you finish out 2024 in terms of the numbers here?
So we a little bit over doubled it again. We finished out 2024 at 1.5 million.
Okay, awesome. So 1.5, yeah, so a little over double, and then your scope of work changed definitely, or it evolved maybe, from
Yeah.
the smaller commercial to some bigger commercial. And then as we are looking at 2025, obviously we're February right now, but any goals that you guys have set, any new services you're looking to offer, any new things you're bidding on that are maybe out of your scope, or something that you're excited about? What does 2025 have in store?
Yeah. So I guess 2025, we have a few different goals. One goal that's pretty big for me is we're going to try to, instead of when that commercial job is done and my guy's just rolling over into a residential job,
Mhm.
I'm going to try to bid enough work to where we can keep, a commercial crew going all year and a residential crew going all year. So we got some more school projects that are coming out that we're going to bid on those. So we'll see, what happens there.
Mhm.
And that's something that I'm trying to figure out now where to find more commercial work to bid on. That's something a lot of the stuff that we've been bidding on now is just we're getting through word of mouth and
Yeah.
running into people, building relationships. So we're kind of working on getting different web programs that we can bid through. And I think I talked to you about I think it was Construct Connect that you guys
Yep.
recommended.
Yeah.
Uh,
Have you been using that one?
we haven't yet. I know we looked at it a little bit. Um, it I'm not really sure. We haven't gone with it yet. The sales guy is
Mhm.
like trying pretty hard to put, to get us there. I'm
Yeah.
not sure it's exactly what we need with trying to stay, in kind of our closer area. So
Sure.
what we've been doing this year is just trying to get out and build relationships, meet new people. I'm just going to, big developers that are putting in subdivisions, stuff like that, trying to do, more networking more or less to get our name
Yeah.
out there with bigger general contractors and stuff like that. And we have logged on to a few free sites that
Hmm.
put out just bids, when projects are going and stuff like that. So we haven't actually like bought anything yet. And
Yeah.
Haley does a lot of that stuff too, kind of. So she's been kind of shuffling through that kind of stuff, trying to figure out what's best for us right now.
Yeah.
So
Any
so if
other ones?
anybody has
Any?
any tips, we're
Yeah.
definitely open.
Well, definitely. And I know that's one we would love to do a podcast or even potentially even a webinar on is diving into some of these, and not from a salesman, but from somebody that
Yeah,
uses probably multiple different websites and
yeah,
how they bid work. And so I would love to see it from that vantage point, and so we could all sit down and learn that way. Especially, I know a lot of people listening, they're already in commercial or they're wanting to go commercial, and so this is just a great tool and a great way to, you know, to bid and to get, to try and win some of these projects here.
yeah. And I know I mean, it's not. I talked to other people too that are in the same boat. They're like, well, where do I find this commercial work? And luckily for us, we've been able to get commercial work just kind of through relationships that we've built. So
Hmm.
that's kind of got our foot into the door a little bit there and helping us move forward with that.
Yeah, like you can't just rely on a website
Yeah.
or just
Yeah.
rely on, sending it
Yeah.
through that way. You gotta, which it sounds like you do and you have a big focus on is like building those relationships, which is at the core going to be your
Yeah.
best bet.
Because I think, even if you get these jobs that come out for bid, or not say you get them, but you get the opportunity to bid them,
Hmm.
people see, you know, your name come on there and they've never heard of you. They're
Yep.
like, well, who's this guy? Like, can we trust him? Yeah, he's lowest bid, but we've never seen any work that he's done. Nobody knows of him. So I think that's important too, to get out and build relationships with everybody so people know who you are and know that they can trust you. And
Yeah, and it's not a huge surprise when this no name comes up on the bid sheet.
yeah,
Awesome. All right. So, uh, dude, thank you for unpacking that. I mean, that was so helpful for me, but for everyone listening to see that path you guys are taking. But I mean, you're not done. I'm not done. Like the business, it's year after year, and like we were talking about 2023 and how we're like, oh shit, that was when we saw each other at Con Expo. Like that feels
yeah,
like, and then you look back at everything, it's like, yeah, you're having different experiences now and you're going to have different experiences next year when we see each other again. So it's just so important to just, keep fighting the good fight, I guess you could say, but also um, trying not to let the business just like tear you apart, because it
yeah,
will. And
yeah,
every year you're in it. And so just like you said earlier, like finding the things to appreciate, finding the things to, try and flip it around and glass half full. Like, let's try and be positive about some of these things that we get to do. And when you're running your own business, like that alone
yeah,
is is something that you can hang your hat on for sure. And then how do we continue improving and improving the lives of the people that get to work with us, right? And just
yeah.
how do we be a better person? So, dude, thank you again for running through that. I know we got a couple minutes here, so I want to get into a couple other things before we let you go. But um, gosh, that was good. So, oh, I'd love to. So you got a Wyoming trip coming up, bachelor party.
Yeah, we're leaving. Actually, Valentine's Day. We're leaving, headed out to Wyoming snowmobiling.
Okay, perfect. So, is so you're leaving on Valentine's Day. Haley's not going, I'm guessing.
No, she's staying home. She's got to run the snow removal crew while I'm gone, so
That's
she's got to hold the
very
fort
romantic. Yeah.
down.
No, that's awesome. I love it. Where in Wyoming are you guys going?
So we're Jackson Hole. We're just down the mountain, about a half hour, 45 minutes to the south from Jackson Hole. So up on Togety Pass up there.
Gotcha. And then you guys planning summer wedding?
Yeah, it'll be June, beginning of June. We're getting married, so that'll be
All
fun.
right.
Hopefully it's not
Congratulations.
too
And
hot.
dude, speaking of like being busy in the summer and running business, like you're also getting married in the summer.
Yeah, and we got another. It's another school job that we're starting the Monday after my wedding too. So it's not going
Man,
to be taking a whole bunch of time off. So
no, no, but I mean, that's when you gotta work. That's when you gotta make the money. I mean, summertime, that's when you
yeah,
gotta go.
and I mean Haley's great. That's a big part of it too. Like somebody that understands, and
Yeah.
I'm definitely lucky to have her. So
Yeah. Haley's awesome. So, um, cool, man. Super excited to see more on that Wyoming trip. Very excited for Con Expo coming up. For people
absolutely,
listening that, likely what we'll do is we'll just start not like a group text, but I think they have like group text in Instagram or on like the messenger side of things. We'll
yeah,
likely do that and we'll get a big Con Expo crew group chat going. So if anyone is for sure going, just reach out to me or reach out to the Dirtbags Instagram and shoot me a message and just let us know because I'm going to start compiling a big list of people so that when we do have some uh, plans actually set up, we can just do a blast and reach out to everyone and get everyone together. So, Dylan, I know you'll be there, and yeah, we'll get to hang out again and do some, get to do some fun stuff.
yeah, for sure. And if we do decide to do something to where you get some sponsors to throw in money for pizza, or get
Pizza
like
party.
get a little room to have that pizza party in, definitely put us on the list. We'll throw some money in for that too. So
I appreciate that, man, and I think that's a
yeah,
great idea because we could. I mean, yeah, depending on how scrappy we want to get, but I'll just throw it out there. Like if people are interested in sponsoring something like that, whether it's any of our partners or people listening and they're just like, hell yeah, I'm down.
yeah,
Also let me know because I guess, yeah, the more sponsors or people we get to support it, then the bigger we could go. And,
sure.
yeah, and we'll see. I mean, you just never know, especially with this crew, of the dirtbags. So
Yeah,
we'll definitely get some pizzas ordered, do a pregame before we go out that night, and I think it'd be good to get everyone together.
yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, just back to the networking and relationship thing. I think it's just awesome to have people from all over that you can kind of connect with online and touch ideas through, and even just check up on, just to talk to
Yeah,
people and see what everybody else is doing too. So
yeah, we'll make it happen. So the Con Expo Pizza Party Mastermind, it's all coming together. But
yeah,
uh, Dylan, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for
yeah,
being so
absolutely.
transparent. As you mentioned, like that's a lot of it. Like that's how you learned is from other guests on the show. It's people being willing to put it out there. So if you guys are still listening and still on, make sure you shoot Dylan a message. Let him know you listened this far. Give him a follow. Red Run Property Services or his personal at Dylan Rosenthal 8. Dylan, I know this isn't going to be the last episode we do together, so I'm excited to have you back on again. Excited for next year, but also excited to see what 2025 has in store for you. So
Yeah,
thank
for
you
sure.
again, and yeah, man, excited to run it back.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody's ever got any questions, I mean, it's don't be afraid to ask. It's You don't look like a bad person or like you're dumb for asking questions. It's better to ask than do something wrong, or
Yeah,
you probably end up making yourself look silly then. So,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
don't worry about, I guess one thing that I do is that I'm not focused on the revenue that I'm trying to make. I just go
Hmm.
out every day and have fun with what I do, and just play in the dirt and love your job. So
Yeah, no, I think that's a great piece of advice because as we unpacked and we talked year over year, we talked about the revenue, the struggles, the triumphs, the employees. At the end of the day, like you said, you wanted to be in equipment, you wanted to have your own business, you wanted to enjoy what you're doing. Every day is not easy, that's for sure. But, to your point there, like try to get back to why you started. And
yeah,
and part of that is of course you need money to pay your people and to pay your bills, but at the end of the day it's, why did you start the business and how can you get back to that mindset?
yeah. Yeah, and don't ever, I guess what I would say is don't let your business take your life down. Enjoy your business, have fun with it, and make the most of it, and do what you love.
Yeah, do what you love. Don't forget to go hunting. I
Yeah,
mean, all this stuff.
absolutely.
Yeah, try not to let it take you over. And maybe for the short term, uh, the short-term sacrifice, absolutely, though that'll happen, but
Yeah, definitely.
have a plan to overcome it, and surround yourself with people like yourself, like a lot of the guests we've had on. Their cell number, their Instagram, whatever is open door. Like we say it every time. Shoot them a message, let them know you listened. I think a lot of you that do take action on that, you see like, oh, these are awesome people that are just like
Yeah,
me and you, and they're just out there grinding and getting it done, but also like to have a couple bush lights on the weekend and have a good
yeah,
time at Corn Fest.
yeah, for sure.
Man, good stuff. Well, Dylan, thank you again. For anyone still listening, if you're on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcast and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. Leave us a review. It helps a ton. And we'll see you on the next one.